Good morning. We're in one of the most beautiful cities in the United States. Welcome to San Francisco.
In this episode we'll ride an old cable car, see downtown, enjoy the Victorian architecture, learn about the sports part of the city, visit the famous Alcatraz prison, and of course we'll see the Golden Gate Bridge, walk to the oldest Chinatown, visit Silicon Valley and Stanford University, and much more interesting things. Let's not delay and head out to explore everything with our eyes. San Francisco was originally part of Spanish colony and later became part of Mexico. But after the Mexican-American War, this territory was ceded to the Americans, and the city itself quickly blossomed during the Golden Rush and became the culture and economical center of the West Coast. Today, San Francisco is one of the most famous cities in America. And I would like to immediately talk separately about the local architecture, because it really is very different from what we are used to seeing in the USA. Almost the entire city consists of the small, cozy wooden houses, some which have been standing here since the Golden Rush, which gives the city a cozy feel and a special charm. It's also worth noting that the city is situated on the hills, which can make walking uphill quite challenging, especially given the long distances. However, the Americans have come with a clever solution: the cable car.
No visit would be complete without a ride on a famous San Francisco cable car.
In the past, these trams ran along the many of the city streets, but today only two routes remain. I decided to ride the most fascinating one, from the Pier to Market Street. While we're on our way, let's take a closer look to what makes the cable car unique and how they differ from the tram. The key difference is that the cable car is powered by a constantly moving cable beneath the trucks. And of course, it's rare to see trams with such a unique seating arrangement. The cable car ride, although now mostly a tourist attraction, is still a great way to explore the city and take in some truly stunning views that are sometimes simply breathtaking. Well, it's time to move on to the more familiar architecture of US cities. Downtown is located right in the heart of the city and is, without a doubt, San Francisco's business hub. It combines modern skyscrapers, historic buildings, unique landmarks, and lively atmosphere. What caught my attention the most was the man-made wonder. Yes, you're not mistaken, it's a large park situated on the rooftop. It's quite unusual to walk in such park. This project is a hidden gem you won't believe exists. Truly interesting place where you can walk and rest, which absolutely worth your attention. Unfortunately, despite its impressive appearance, walking the streets of downtown isn't entirely safe. Like many major cities in the United States, San Francisco struggles with a significant issue: homelessness and drug abuse. These problems are visible throughout the city, but they are especially concentrated near the downtown in the Tenderloin district. I don't enjoy discussing such unpleasant aspects, but it would be remiss not to mention them, as it is the major drawback that can overshadow all the city's positive attributes. But let's move back to the city itself, as it's time to head towards one of the most fascinating places in San Francisco. Yes, many of you have probably guessed where we're heading. It's Alcatraz Island, specifically the infamous prison located on this small island. The prison operated from 1932 to 1963 and became notorious for its harsh conditions. Its isolated location in the middle of the cold San Francisco Bay, combined with the local climate, made living there unbearable. According to witnesses, the cold penetrated right to the bone.
We're in one of the most isolated and famous prisons in the world, on Alcatraz Island.
The prison remains exactly as it was left in 1963. Walking through its halls feels like stepping into the horror film, with its overwhelming sense of gloom and despair surrounding you. Alcatraz is well known of housing a famous criminal like Al Capone, and it was considered escape-proof. However, 3 inmates managed to do the impossible. This famous event occurred a year before the prison's closure, when 3 prisoners used spoons to dig a ventilation shaft, crawled through it, and escaped. They were never seen again. Some believe they froze in the frigid waters of the Pacific Ocean, while others think they were helped and successfully reached the shore to start their new lives. Who knows? And this dramatic escape even inspired the film starring Clint Eastwood. Visiting this place really makes you appreciate freedom more and think about it.
I think you know what kind of bridge is behind me. This is the Golden Gate Bridge. This is the most recognizable bridge in the entire world.
The Golden Gate Bridge is perhaps the most famous bridge in the world and one of the most beautiful, and is a symbol of San Francisco. At the time of its construction, the bridge was considered an engineering wonder, and it was the longest suspension bridge in the world. Construction began in 1933, during the peak of the Great Depression. It became a vital project, providing jobs for thousands of people. The work was exceptionally challenging due to the strong currents in the strait, dense fog, and relentless winds. One of the most fascinating achievements of the bridge is its ability to flex up to 8 meters sideways during the strong winds or earthquakes, protecting it from the damage. If you are curious, I highly recommend to watch a documentary about its construction. It's truly astonishing. Before I show you the bridge, it's worth saying a few words about the local weather.
San Francisco has really unpredictable weather. It could change like 5 or 3 times a day. It's really crazy. It could be hot, it could be cold, it could be windy, it could be rainy, and everything it could be in one day. It's crazy.
My advice: dress in layers. It's only one way to stay comfortable in the San Francisco unpredictable climate. The bridge is almost always shrouded in the fog, as the city experiences fog nearly every day due to its location and unique weather patterns.
Every day here is a fog, and the fog has a name and its own Instagram account.
The bridge unfortunately notorious for being a hotspot for suicides, with the highest number of cases in the world. The problem has become so serious that authorities have installed phones, information signs, and even put netting around the perimeter to discourage people from jumping. I decided to cycle across the bridge, but to be honest, I wouldn't practically recommend it. The intense winds and biting cold make the journey rather uncomfortable. However, reaching the other side of the bridge is worth it, as it offers one of the most stunning views in San Francisco.
As you pass through the Dragon Gate, you immediately feel like you have stepped to another world.
This is one of the most famous Chinatowns in the world and the oldest Chinatown in North America. It was established in the mid-19th century during the Golden Rush era, when Chinese laborers were brought in as source of the cheap workforce. Over time, they settled here and became one of the city's key communities. To this day, Chinatowns remain an important culture, historical and tourist hub in San Francisco. This neighborhood vividly showcases the contrast within the city. For instance, Chinese architecture stands side by side with the Catholic Cathedral. However, if you look closely at the buildings, you will notice that they are actually typical American houses that the Chinese community has adorned with the thematic features and decorations.
It's really cozy place, and while you're walking here, you'll feel like you're in China, not in USA or in San Francisco.
Everywhere you turn, you will find elements of the Chinese culture, restaurants, shops, and traditional lanterns that added to the charm of this area. Chinatown is a fascinating place, and for more complete impressions of San Francisco, it's definitely worth a visit. Now, let's move on to another highly popular spot among the tourists. This area is renowned for its rich history tied to fishing, picture square views and a variety of attractions. Today, however, it's primarily a tourist hotspot, with the main draw being Pier 39. This lively place exudes an authentic American vibe, featuring vibrant signs and numerous restaurants and shops, designed to attract the visitors, like Bubba Hump, inspired by the film Forrest Gump. But the most interesting attraction here is the sea lions, who settled here after the earthquakes in 1990s and have been having fun here ever since. But this isn't the only interesting highlight of the area. For those fascinated by historical ships, that area also features a maritime museum that includes a ferry, steamship, and an old harbor master's office. The standout exhibit, however, is undoubtedly the Balclutha, one of the oldest preserved sailing ships in the world. This ship, built in 1986 in Scotland, the ship was entirely used to transport goods between Europe and North America, including grain, coals, wool, and construction materials. It It made several voyages around the treacherous Cape Horn and frequently carried the wheat from Europe to the United States. In its later years, it was used to transport canned fish from Alaska. Walking aboard this authentic vessel offers a glimpse into the bygone area, as though you have stepped into the film set. It's truly a fascinating experience. Not far from the pier stands a rather peculiar but beautiful structure. This Palace of Fine Arts was built relatively recently in 1915 to commemorate the Panama Pacific International Exposition. The event celebrated the completion of the Panama Canal and San Francisco recovery from the devastating 1906 earthquake. Originally, the palace was used to showcase work of arts. Today it serves primarily as a place for walks and photo sessions. Architecturally it drawn inspiration from ancient Greek and Roman designs, and strolling around here is truly delightful. Now let's move on to one of the most beautiful and affluent neighborhoods in the city, Haight-Ashbury. The neighborhood is truly remarkable for its architecture, with the most iconic feature being the Painting Ladies, a row of beautiful restored Victorian houses. The history of this area is closely tied to the hippie culture, which flourished here in the late 1960s. Following the Great Depression, the low cost of housing attracted a creative and free-spirit community. The most notable event of that era was the Summer of Love in 1967, when hundreds of thousands of people from across America and the world gathered here to express their freedom, protest against the war and traditional societal norms, and immerse themselves in the atmosphere of creativity, music and love. Today the area has been embraced by wealthier residents and now has more of a healthy, active vibe. There's always someone jogging or exercising, which is largely due to the proximity to Golden Gate Park.
The Golden Gate Park, one of the most beautiful and biggest parks in the United States.
Golden Gate Park itself is an impressive green space, originally built on sand dunes or marshlands, and has been transformed into a fantastic place of leisurely walks. The park is home to many interesting attractions, such as the California Academy of Science and several gardens, the most captivating of which is the Japanese tea garden. In this garden you can truly immerse yourself in a small piece of Japan with a tranquil design and authentic atmosphere, making it a must-visit spot in the park.
So let's talk about the different part of the city, high-tech part. Of course we couldn't pass by the Silicon Valley, capital of high-tech in the entire world.
Silicon Valley is located near the San Francisco and is rightfully considered the global center of high technological innovation and startups. The name Silicon Valley originated from to use the silicon in microchip production during the mid-20th century. The valley is the home to some of the world's largest tech companies such as Apple, Google, Facebook, Intel, and many more. But it all started from here.
So we are in one of the most recognizable and prestigious universities in the world. Please welcome in Stanford University.
Stanford University is one of the largest research centers in the world and is closely connected to the tech industry due to its location in Silicon Valley.
I couldn't even imagine how to study here. It looked so cool, so gorgeous, and I want to be a student again.
Many renowned figures such as Sergey Brin, Elon Musk and other famous businessmen studied here. These individuals went on to found companies like Google, Instagram, Netflix, PayPal, Tesla, Nvidia and even more. Stanford's student body includes individuals from over 19 countries, with significantly number coming from China, India and Russia. The university is really big and students often get around on bicycles. Its impressive architecture and undeniable prestige make it a dreamy destination for many art-spring students around the world.
Because when I was a student, I couldn't imagine that university could be like that.
But the most intriguing part of Silicon Valley is its corporate campuses. So, let's begin with the most iconic one. As you may have guessed, Apple was one of the first major IT companies in the Silicon Valley and has built one of the most advanced buildings in the world, Apple Park.
Unfortunately, Apple Park itself is closed and open only for employees, but you can visit Apple Visitor Center.
The Visitor Center itself is a two-level store with all Apple products, which even has its own cafe. You can order directly on the iPad and pay by Apple Watch. This is how it should look a real future. Unfortunately, the view from the second floor is the only way to somehow see the amazing building, but Apple has solved this problem. This is not an office building, but a real masterpiece of architecture and ecology, reflecting the spirit and philosophy of Apple company. The building is installed in 700 concrete foundations with shock absorbers, which allow it to withstand earthquakes up to 8 points on Richter scale. Apple Park is completely energy independent and one of the most environmentally friendly campuses in the world. Apple Park was the last project in which Steve Jobs participated. He personally participated in the development of the campus design and saw it as a home for innovation. In his last public speech, he presented the Apple Park project as a dream for a place where nature and technology coexist in harmony.
I really love the design of Apple products, and of course architecture here is really contemporary and it looks really gorgeous.
Another office of well-known iconic company of our time is located nearby. Google has also settled here and occupied a fairly large area with the various buildings. Everything is very well maintained here. Bicycle roads are laid everywhere, but the buildings themselves are not very impressive after Apple campus. There is also a visitor center here, but it's a quite modest, rather cramped Google product store. To be truly, didn't impress me. But the territory itself is worthy of attention, and it's the best way to explore it is on the free bicycle ride from the company. If we talk about the technological aspects of the city, the first thing that catches your eye is a taxi. It's not just a taxi, but a taxi without a driver.
You know, when I'm talking about the technological parts of San Francisco, this is what I'm talking about. This car is driving without a driver.
The sensations are extremely unusual, but it definitely seems like the future belongs to this, and the prices for the taxi is already comparable to the Uber. Well, San Francisco is really an interesting city that is worth visiting.
Well, let's move on to conclusions. San Francisco is an amazing city of contrast, where the modern tech giants, historical landmarks, charm, poetry, and all exist side by side. It's a city without perhaps the most beautiful architecture in the entire United States. The city is not without its flaws, but nonetheless iconic and well knows to visit someday. It's all for me now. Travel, because it has never been easy as it is now. Our planet is unique. Take care of it.